Alright, this is my video blog for tonight, titled We Are Greater Than AIDS. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's this commercial and advertisement that I don't know if the government's been doing. It's been going around. It says, "We are greater than AIDS." And maybe it's that I'm kind of shallow, but I don't understand it. I think a lot of things are greater than AIDS. For instance, this video blog is pretty much greater than AIDS, I think. Some might not think so. Having a failing career, that's definitely greater than AIDS. Getting brutally knocked out multiple times towards the end of your career, I would think that's better than AIDS. Having your nose smashed to the other side of the face so you can smell your shoulder without turning your head, definitely better than having AIDS. Cats, they're better than AIDS. And getting kicked in the nuts is also better than AIDS. If you can think of anything else that's better than AIDS, please feel free to comment down below my video and tell me what you think is greater than AIDS. Next, people have been wondering what I've been working out to, trying to lose weight and get down to 180 pounds. It's this Biggest Loser workout DVD right here. It works. I mean, it's been kicking my butt. Laugh if you want. That's what's been going on. Also, I got a lot to cover in the area of MMA, so I'm going to skip over the recently watched movies again. First of all, Matt Hamill versus Phil Davis has been booked as a future fight coming up. This is a big step up for Matt Hamill and a big step up for Phil Davis. It's a big step up for Matt Hamill on the account that Phil Davis is a murderer. That guy is running through people at 205. It's a big step up for Phil Davis in the aspect that I think Matt Hamill's a bigger name than him. So beating Matt Hamill will do something for his career. So we'll see how that one pans out. Also, Nam Phan has got his fight, a sequel fight with Leonard Garcia since his robbery where he lost a split decision. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be an entertaining fight, but I don't know if it's necessary. Did Evan Dunham need a rematch with Sean Sherk to prove that he beat Sean Sherk and the judges got it wrong? No. Neither does Nam Phan need a sequel fight with Leonard Garcia to convince the fans that he won the first time. So I think that's an unnecessary fight. Another fight that's coming up, Dennis Hallman is fighting TJ Wilderberger at UFC 124 in Seattle. That's a fight to determine who cares. Because, I don't know. Dennis Hallman was relevant back in the day. Not so relevant now. He has a ton of fights under his belt. He's a vet. But honestly, I don't know if that fight interests me too much. Then we got Rory McDonald is fighting James Wilks at let's see, UFC 129 in Toronto. That's a fight that I should be at. It's an interesting fight, I guess. James Wilks really needs a win. I think Rory McDonald's going to win this fight. The only loss that Rory McDonald has is to Carlos Condit, and Carlos Condit's been really tearing through the UFC ever since he came in. After the welterweight division was merged into the UFC from the WEC. Anyways, next, Anthony Pettis is now should be fighting Clay Guida at UFC 130 or 131. This is a big fight for both guys. Pettis needs the win if he still wants this title shot. Guida needs the win because he's trying to get a title shot. If Pettis wins, I think he's pretty much still guaranteed this title shot. If he loses, then it's definitely a setback. But it'll be an entertaining fight regardless of how you look at it. Both of these guys go from bell to bell. Eric Koch versus Cub Swanson is targeted for the UFC on Versus Part 3. Should be interesting. I've got Eric Koch beating Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson really hasn't been doing all that well ever since he entered the UFC or the WEC on a tear, and he's been kind of ever since his loss to Jose Aldo, he's been not too impressive as far as I'm concerned. Then you got Jason McDonald versus Ryan Jensen for UFC 129 in Toronto, where Jason McDonald further will prove that he doesn't belong in the UFC. Next, you got, oh, yes, great thing in MMA. This one really got me excited. Joe Riggs joined the Bellator middleweight tournament. Joe Riggs was one of my favorite welterweights. Now he's a middleweight. Whatever, I don't care. I love watching this guy fight. I just wish he could evolve as a fighter and really go on a tear. What really kind of excites me about the guy is that he's got like 40 fights under his belt, and he's still only in his mid to late 20s. So I love this guy. It's a great move for him. If he can tear this up and do good things in Bellator for a year, maybe he can come back to the UFC. I'm really excited. I love Joe Diesel Riggs. Just phenomenal. Just incredibly impressive. He was in the first UFC pay-per-view that I ever bought, which was Matt Hughes versus Joe Riggs. Shane Carwin has agreed to fight at UFC 131 in Vancouver, which is really exciting. It's just a verbal agreement, though. He said in his blog that Joe Silva called him, said, hey, do you want to fight at UFC 131? The rumored opponent has been Roy Nelson, but then Roy Nelson is supposedly signed to fight Frank Mir, so it's up in the air as to who he's fighting. He really hasn't put pen to paper, so all that's really gone on is that he's verbally agreed to fight. He's currently waiting for paperwork and an opponent. I would like to see him fight for the interim title versus Junior Dos Santos. We'll see what happens. I'm just excited that there's news on him. Let's see, Mark Hominick versus Jose Aldo is being targeted for UFC 129. This is a problem, though, because Mark Hominick is already signed to fight George Roop, who's his teammate. So what this means is that this whole plan is contingent upon Mark Hominick beating George Roop and coming out unscathed enough to be able to turn around and fight again at UFC 129. So, I mean, those are two big ifs. First of all, he's got to get through George Roop, which is no easy task. Second of all, he's got to get through George Roop and be without any significant damage. That's an even bigger task. So the rumor kind of invalidates itself. There's too many ifs. Anyways, the next report is that Junior Dos Santos is supposed to fight for the interim heavyweight title. The question is, will he be fighting Brock Lesnar or Shane Carwin? I honestly don't care which one of those guys he fights. I'm excited about it, and I'm also excited that they're not keeping the title on ice, that they're establishing an interim title so that we actually have some gold that we can watch. You know, some 5-round heavyweight fights that we can watch for while Cain Velasquez is out, who I think he already went under the knife. Maynard versus Edgar 3 has been penciled in for UFC 130. That'll be an extremely exciting fight. I'm looking forward to see Edgar beat Gray Maynard again. It was exciting when he beat him the first time, and it'll be exciting when he beats him again. Let's see. That's what I got. For tomorrow, I'll be doing my daily video blog about women that I find in Hollywood to be extremely attractive, that everybody else thinks I'm nuts for because I like ugly women. That's a very high possibility, but you'll have to tune in tomorrow to find out about that. Remember, comment, rate, and subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Yo, I also want to say hey to all my Zuffa Zombie Bozo friends out there on SureDog, you know what I mean? Alright, that's my shout outs, yo.